Hello everyone, I welcome you to my YouTube channel, Professor Civil Mandal. Here I basically speak about civil engineering and you will find my various video lectures on various topics of civil engineering over here. So, in the previous part of this fluid kinematics video, we have discussed about the continuity equation in Cartesian coordinates. Now, in this particular video lesson, we will start with the continuity equation in the cylindrical polar coordinates form. So, for this, I have already made a diagram like this is the suppose the control volume, this somewhat prismoidal area, and I am having an angle of d theta between them, and this particular thing has a radius r until here. This much is radius r. So what I can say is that here this particular arc will be of r d theta length, right? The radius times the angle, that is r d theta. And similarly, suppose until this length is dr, and then therefore length of this arc will be r plus dr times d theta. Here I have written in small, or I can write it in a better way, that this length will be r plus dr times d theta, this particular arc length. And so we have defined this control volume, and a fluid of mass rho times u is the velocity, r d theta dz, because the volume will be somewhat r d theta times dz times the dz is this length is dz. Here I have written it again, this particular length is dz, and therefore this length and this arc length upon time will be giving us the into, and multiplied with density will be giving us the mass flow rate. So rho times u times r times d theta upon dz will be the inflow, and similarly for outflow, rho u plus del rho u upon del r dr times r plus dr d theta dz will be our outflow mass of water or the fluid. So we need to account for all that fluid that is accumulating, and we will account that there will be some amount of fluid that will also accumulate in the control volume. So we can say that rate of inflow will be equal to the accumulation plus rate of outflow. So whatever mass will be entering will actually form the accumulation, and the remaining will be the outflow. So mass, because mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, so it will be included in the accumulation and outflow. The total inflow will be included within it. Next, or you can say that accumulation plus outflow minus the inflow is equal to 0, as it follows the conservation of mass. So now let's describe the velocity field in polar coordinates. So velocity field u will be equal to u bar, suppose u times er plus v times e theta plus w times ez. Just try to remember that u was the velocity component in x direction, v was the velocity component in y direction, and w was the velocity component in z direction for the Cartesian coordinates. But in this one we have z in the z coordinate, alright, but theta in the y direction and r in the place of x direction. So our coordinates or our components will be defined somewhat like that. So that is uer plus ve theta plus wez, and these are the components in the r direction, in theta direction and the z direction respectively. So this was our velocity field that which we have defined. So now the differential control volume will be why differential control volume? Because the dimensions which we are using are in form of differentials only, like d theta, dr and dz. So basically the differential control volume will be dv equal to rd theta, right? Rd theta is this dimension times dr. So basically if we consider it almost like a cube or a cuboid, so we will just multiply the three dimension, that is rd theta, dr and dz. So it will be like rd theta times dr times dz. So on arranging it will become r dr d theta dz. So that was our control volume. So the mass of the fluid in the control volume will be mass of the fluid in control volume, that is dm will be is equal to rho dv, and therefore the rate of change of mass or accumulation basically in the control volume will be equal to del rho upon del t r dr d theta dz. So previously let us just ignore this u part, and we have r dr theta and dz suppose, and we also divide this density with respect to time, then we will get the mass inflow, and similarly we will get the mass outflow, mass flow rate inflow and mass flow rate outflow. Now if we subtract almost these two, and this will be kind of the accumulation over it, and also mass inflow will be equal to, suppose it is mr in, and that is equal to rho u r d theta dz, as I have already shown this in the diagram. Because for the net flow through the control volume we deal with it one phase at a time, and starting with the r phase we have defined it somewhat like this. While the outflow in the r direction, now to get the outflow in the r direction we can write mr out minus mr in, and that is equal to this thing, sorry, this is not, this will be equal to rho u dr d theta dz plus del rho u upon del r dr d theta dz plus del rho u upon del r dr square d theta dz. Okay, so therefore the mr out part will be, so now if we put the value of mr in, then these two parts will get cancelled and we will get, and again if we take r plus dr as a common term, we will get rho u plus del rho u upon del r dr upon times r plus dr d theta dz. Got it? So that is the net flow in the r direction. So, and again this dr square term will be very small, so we will also neglect this term, last term, so this term will be eliminated. So therefore finally mr out minus mr in will be equal to 1 upon r rho u dv plus del rho u upon del r dv plus, suppose this is O dr square, as a function of dr square I am just keeping it like this. So the net flow, now this was the net flow in the r direction, so if we consider the net flow in the theta direction, and we can compute it just simply in terms of the area. Okay, so the area I have represented as this one, as simply the area of this plane will be like an area of a trapezium, and it will be half r d theta plus r dr d theta, because this part is r d theta and this part is r plus dr d theta, these two arcs, and you know the area of trapezium is half multiplied by sum of parallel sides. The sum of parallel sides is r d theta plus r plus dr d theta multiplied by the height or the distance between them, that is dr. So I have the area as area, and that is in suppose z direction. I have half times r plus dr square d theta minus half r square d theta, and that will be equal to r dr d theta plus half dr square d theta is equal to r dr d theta plus 4 dr square d theta. So this is the area in the z direction. So the mass inflow and outflow faces are at the same. At the outset the net flow in the theta direction, therefore I can say the skip to this part, that is the net flow in the theta direction will be equal to 1 upon r del rho u upon del theta times dv. So similarly, now if we consider the z direction, we will have in z direction we will have mz in is equal to rho w az, simple, sorry, this is not w, this is omega, rho omega az, this is equal to rho omega r dr d theta, while the outflow at the upper z face will be mz out, considering that there will be inflow on the lower face and outflow from the upper face. So mz out will be equal to rho w plus del rho w upon del z times dz times az is equal to rho omega r dr, sorry, this is omega, please just ignore if I am saying it w, it's omega, rho omega r dr d theta plus del rho omega upon del z r dr d theta dz. Therefore the final flow, that is the, therefore the net flow in z direction will be mz out minus mz in, and that is equal to del rho omega upon del z r dr d theta dz. And we now have in all directions the net outflows. Now to obtain the continuity equation, let's just write in this way, that del rho upon del t, just like similar way we got in the Cartesian coordinates, times del v plus 1 upon r rho u dv plus del rho u upon del r dv plus 1 by r times del rho u upon del theta del dv, this is d plus del rho omega upon del z dv, and that is equal to 0. So now we can put the things together to obtain the continuity equation, and by dividing last a with the dv terms, so that we eliminate this dv part. So I will get it like del rho upon del t plus 1 upon r del r rho u upon del r plus 1 by r del rho v upon del theta plus del rho w upon del z, and that is equal to 0. So this is basically the continuity equation in polar cylindrical polar coordinates form. Now guys, this particular derivation was quite complex, and this is basically the actual theoretical derivation. There is another way which is quite shortcut and much precise. So I'll explain this in the just upcoming part. After we are done with one of the most complex derivation, that is the continuity equation in cylindrical polar coordinates, we can basically write it in an easier form like del rho. We are just straight away writing the continuity equation which we opted in the Cartesian form in a cylindrical polar coordinate form, that is del rho upon del t plus del rho. Let's take Vr is the velocity in r direction times r upon r del r plus del rho v theta upon r del theta plus del rho vz upon del z is equal to 0, where Vr, V theta and Vz are the velocities in r theta and z directions respectively. So for a steady flow, we know that rho is constant with respect to time, so we can eliminate this term because the flow is steady. Flow is steady and rho is constant with respect to time, right? Rho is constant with respect to time. So therefore del rho Vr times r upon r del r plus del rho v theta upon r del theta plus del rho vz upon r del z equal to 0. And now for steady incompressible flow, again now we will be eliminating this rho's, and because for steady incompressible flow density also won't change with respect to the space, so it will be del Vr r upon r del r plus del v theta upon r del theta plus del vz upon del z. For this is for steady incompressible flow. This is for steady incompressible flow. And so finally, if it is, this is actually three dimensions, r, theta and z, and if we don't have one dimension, we have two dimensions. Suppose z dimension is not there, so our equation will finish up to this one equal to 0. We will not have this term, and we will have del Vr times r upon r del r plus del v theta upon r del theta will be equal to 0 if we have it in two dimensions. The acceleration of the fluid particle. So acceleration, as you know, it is related to the velocity and it can be determined once the velocity field is known. So until and unless you don't know the velocity field, just like in the continuity equation, you cannot determine the acceleration of a fluid particle. The acceleration is the change in velocity, that is del v over the change in time del t. So here there's a equation, a is equal to del v t plus del minus minus dvt upon del t. So basically it's a change in the velocity with respect to the change in time. So in other words, in simpler form, you can say del v upon del t. So del v dv plus t plus delta is the final velocity and dv t is the initial velocity, and here it is represented as del v upon del t. Del v is the change in the velocity and del t is the change in time, and dv upon dt will be at an particular instant. But it is not just simple derivative of just time, since the velocity is a function time and space. Velocity is a function of time and space, so it is not easy to say easily, because space you have 3 dimensions and separately you have the time factor. The change in velocity must be tracked in both time and space. Using the chain rule of calculus, the change in velocity is determined like this. So this is the change in velocity in 3 dimensions and also with respect to time. Or you can say that del v upon dv upon dt is equal to del v upon del x times dx upon dt plus del v upon del y times dy upon dt and plus del v upon del z times dz upon dt plus del v upon del t. So we have considered all the 3 dimensions and the time with which the velocity will be changing, and this can simplified by using UVW and the velocity magnitudes in the 3 coordinate directions. In Cartesian coordinates, the acceleration field is like a del v upon del t plus u del v upon del x plus v del v upon del y plus w del v upon del z. So just move on. In this continuity equation, we have the rate of change of mass flow rates. Now if we ignore the density amongst them, then we can talk something about the velocities, and further if we again differentiate all this with respect to time, so we will get something like the acceleration equation which we have here now. And similarly, this expression can be arranged and rearranged, expanded and rearranged as in terms of I, j and k direction. Ax will be equal to del u upon del t plus u del u upon del x plus u plus v del u upon del y plus w del u upon del z. So this was the acceleration in x direction. Similarly, we have acceleration in y and z direction, and the final acceleration can be obtained by this. So basically the resultant of these 3 acceleration will give us the total acceleration. Now just note one thing, that in the first terms we have differentials with respect to time, and in the next 3 for acceleration in the 3 directions only, we have differentials with respect to the space del x, del y and del z. So these differentials of the velocity with respect to the time is known as the local or the temporal acceleration, whereas this one is known as the convective acceleration. So basically total acceleration we can say is the sum of the convective acceleration, that is with respect to space, and local acceleration which is with respect to time. So here's a chart. If we have a steady and uniform flow, so the velocity won't be changing with respect to time and won't be changing with respect to space. So therefore we have both temporal and convective acceleration as 0. Steady non-uniform flow, it won't be changing with respect to time, but it does exist when it changes to with respect to space. Similarly, for unsteady uniform flow, it doesn't exist for temporal acceleration, but it does exist for temporal acceleration, but it doesn't exist for convective acceleration. For an unsteady non-uniform flow, it will exist for both the cases, as with respect to time it won't be equal to 0, the velocities of unsteady and non-uniform flow. Next we have the circulation and vorticity. So what is vorticity? Vorticity is mathematically defined as the curl of the velocity field and is hence a measure of local rotation of the fluid. So basically it is a measure of the rotation of a particular fluid, and it is defined as the curl of the velocity field, and is hence we can say it is a measure of local rotation of the field. So suppose in childhood we have done that, we have taken a bottle and some amount of water is filled in it, and we try to rotate it, and we see a somewhat a vortex is formed. This particular thing is known as the vortex, the shape with which the water will be rotating, and the motion will be known as the vorticity, and this is mathematically defined as the curl of the velocity field. It is denoted by the Greek letter zeta, and zeta is equal to curl V, which is del cross V, and the zeta, that is the vorticity, can be represented as the determinant of I, j and k direction with del upon del x, del upon del y and del upon del z, and finally with UVW, the velocities in the 3 direction. Next is the circulation. Circulation is the line integral of the velocity field around a closed curve. So the vorticity which we obtained, it is a closed curve, and the line integral of the velocity field around it will be the circulation, and it is denoted by gamma, and this is basically the capital gamma. The circulation is basically the velocity times delta, as you have know, dot ds, as it is a line integral of the velocity field. And now according to Stokes theorem, circulation around a contour is equal to the sum of the vorticities within the area of the contour. So basically you can see that v dot ds is equal to the double integral of zeta times dA, where dA is the area and zeta is the vorticity. So circulation is the product of zeta and vorticity. You can see this by this particular equation. Next is the velocity potential function, and the velocity potential function, that is phi, is defined as a scalar function of space and time such that its negative derivative with respect to any direction gives the fluid field in that particular direction. So it is represented by phi, and it is a scalar function of space and time such that the negative derivative with respect to any direction gives the fluid velocity in that direction. So mathematically, let's see the equation. U, V and W are the velocities in the 3 dimensions, that is x, y and z, and with the partial differentiation, it is the derivative, and also the negative sign shall not be ignored. So minus del phi upon del x will give the velocity in the u direction. Similarly, minus del phi upon del y will give the velocity in v direction, and minus del phi upon del z will give the velocity in w direction. So This way we can obtain the three components of velocity if we are given a particular function, and if we are able to find it in this way, we can say that the function phi is the velocity potential function. If the velocity potential function satisfies Laplace equation, then it is also satisfy continuity equations, and hence the flow is possible. So whenever you are given a phi equation, that is a velocity potential function, so first you need to check whether it holds good for the Laplace equation, whether it satisfies the continuity law of continuity, and if it is satisfying this equation, then only the flow is possible, and then only you must further go for the calculation of the u, v and w. Next is the stream function. The stream function xi is defined as a scalar function of space and time such that its partial derivative with respect to any direction gives the velocity component at right angle in the counterclockwise direction to this direction. So it will give the velocity component at the right angle. Just one more thing, we don't consider w or the third dimension in the stream function. It is considered only in two-dimensional flows, and the derivative with respect to one x or in one direction will give the velocity in the right angle direction. That is, if I differentiate psi, the stream function, with respect to x, I will get the velocity v, that is in the y direction. Similarly, I have u as minus del psi by del y, and this will be acting in counterclockwise direction, so I have the minus sign. So if psi exists, then it satisfies the continuity equation and flow can be rotational or irrotational. So for psi to exist, it should first satisfy the continuity equation like this. In place of phi, we will be having psi. And if a stream function satisfies Laplace equation, then it is, in the case of irrotational flow, discharge per unit length will be given by xi1 minus xi2 at the streamline function at two different positions. Next, the Cauchy-Riemann equation gives the relation between the velocity potential function and the streamline function. Del psi upon del x is del phi upon del y, and minus del phi upon del y is equal to del psi upon del x. So let's just now discuss some problems. So examine whether the following velocity components represent a physically possible flow. Two velocity components are given, Vr is equal to r sin theta and V theta is equal to 2r cos theta. So as you see, here are r and theta terms. So this is basically a cylindrical polar coordinate form of continuity equation. So we have to prove that this is a continuous flow. So for the flow to be continuous and this to be satisfied, this particular equation, del upon del r, rvr plus del upon del theta v theta should be equal to 0, and this should be satisfied. And we are not having any w term, we are not having any z term, so this is a two-dimensional flow only. So just if we multiply the above, we have Br is equal to r sin theta. On multiplying this with r, so it will be r Vr is equal to r square sin theta. And if we differentiate with respect to r, we will get del RVR with respect to R, it will be only del R square sin theta with respect to del R, and it will be 2R sin theta. Similarly, there is again V theta, which is equal to 2R cos theta, and while differentiating del V theta with respect to theta, we will get del upon del theta, replacing V theta with 2R cos theta. It will be, so cos theta's differentiation is minus sin theta, and it will be 2R minus sin theta. So if we add these two, 1 and 2, del RVR del RVR upon del R plus del V theta upon del theta will give 2R sin theta minus 2R sin theta, and that is equal to 0. Hence it satisfies the continuity equation in polar coordinate forms. So the question given is, the velocity vector in a fluid flow is given by V is equal to 4x cube y minus 10x square y plus 2tk, and we are asked to find the velocity and acceleration of a fluid particle at 2, 1, 3 at time t is equal to 1 second. Now just see this velocity function is basically dependent on the x and y directions only. It's not dependent on z direction. So let's write it like v cap will be equal to ui plus vj plus wk. So u is basically equal to 4x cube, and that is 4 times 2 cube, and it is 32 meters. So I am not writing any unit, just let it be 32 units right now. V is equal to minus 10x square y, and it is minus 10 times 2 square times 1 is equal to minus 40 units. And similarly we have W equal to 2t, which is equal to 2 times 1, and that is equal to 2 units. Therefore velocity vector velocity vector V will be equal to I cap, or 32I minus 40j plus 2k, and magnitude will be, magnitude of the velocity will be square root of 32 square plus minus 40 square plus 2 square, and it is equal to 51.26 units. Or I can say it's better to write meter per second, as we have time in seconds and distance in meters. After this we will find the acceleration, and acceleration will be given by ax equal to u del u upon del x plus v del u upon del y plus w del u upon del z plus del u upon del t. So this is how we will get ax, and it is just by, and also we will have ay. Just let's write the equations first. Ay will be equal to u dv del v upon del x plus v del v upon del y plus w del v upon del z plus del v upon del t, and az will be equal to u del w upon del x plus v del w upon del y plus w del w upon del z plus these are del v's plus del w upon del t. So this shall be the equation of ax, ay and az. We had written the u, v and w components over here, and let's just keep on differentiating with respect to x, y and z. Del u by del x will be, u is 4x cube, so del u by del x will be 12x square. Now del u by del y will be equal to 0, del u by del z will be equal to 0, and del u by del t will also be equal to 0 because it has only x terms. Now del v upon del x, del v upon del x, again del v upon del x, v we have minus 10x square y, so del v upon del x will be equal to minus 20xy on differentiation with respect to x, and del v upon del y will be equal to minus 10x square, and again del v upon del z will be equal to 0, and del v upon del t will be equal to 0 as there is no z and t terms. Now del w upon del x is equal to 0, del w upon del y is equal to 0, and del w upon del z is be equal to 0. It's because w is equal to 2t and there are no xyz terms, but we do have a t term, so w is equal to 2t and del w upon del t will be equal to 2. So we have obtained the values of del u, all these values. So now we will write the equation as ax is equal to u del u upon del x plus v del u upon del y plus w del u upon del z plus del u upon del t. So ax will be equal to 4x cube times 12x square plus minus of 10x square y times 0 plus 2t times 0 plus 0 and it is equal to, this is 0 and only this term will be there, all the terms will be cancelled out, so it will be 48 x to the power 5, 48 x to the power 5. So x is given as equal to 2, so it will be 48 times 2 to the power 5 and it is equal to 1536 units. Similarly, ay is equal to 4x cube minus 20xy plus minus 10x square y times minus 10 x square plus 2t0 plus 0 and equal to, it is equal to minus 80 x to the power 4y plus 100 x to the power 4y so it is equal to 20 x to the power 4y, and putting x as 2 and y as 1, we get this to be 320 units. Az will be equal to 4x cubed times 0 plus minus 10x square y times 0 plus 2t times 0 and plus 2, it will be equal to 2 units. So therefore the acceleration vector A will be equal to axi plus ayj plus azk, and it is equal to 1536I plus 320J plus 2K. And now the magnitude of the acceleration will be square root of 1536 square plus 320 square plus 2 square, and that is equal to 1568.9, and the unit shall be meter per second square, as the time is in second and the distances are in meters. So consider the velocity field by u is equal to x square and v is equal to minus 2xy. Find the circulation around an area bounded by A, B, C, D. The coordinates are given. So I have given the diagram, I have drawn the diagram basically, and circulation is given by gamma equal to cyclic integration of u dx plus v dy plus w dz. Again, on expanding this one, it will be integral of x equal to 1, y equal to 1 and x equal to 2 u dx plus x equal to 2 and y equal to 1 and y equal to 2 v dy plus x up to x equal to 1 and y equal to 2, x equal to 2 u dx plus it will be integral of x equal to 1 comma y equal to 2 up to y equal to 1 dy v dy. So I have defined the limits from x equal to 1 to 1, and since this is dx, and it will be up to the higher limit of the x value in the next part, that is b. So this is for ab. Next, from b to c it will be x equal to 2 and y equal to 1, and since the integral is of y derivative, and it will be y equal to 2, that is because here at c the y coordinate is 2. Next, this is for ab, this is for bc, this is for cd, and this is for da. Next, from c to d, x equal to 2, y equal to 2 is the lower limit, and since it is an integration of the x derivative, so we will take x equal to 1, that is the x coordinate of the next level, that is at d. And similarly, from d to a we have x equal to 1 and y equal to 2 and y is equal to 1 at here. So it is basically a cycle. Now we will get it by integral of u dx will be x cube upon 3, because u is given as x square, from y equal to 1 at x equal to 1 to x equal to 2. So since y is not there, we will cancel it out, and it will be equal to 2.33, sorry, I'll just calculate it later on, plus here it will be minus xy square, because it is minus 2xy, and we are again doing it with respect to y for this place, this particular BC. So it will be minus xy square, and it will be from y equal to 1 comma x equal to 2 to y equal to 2, and again here x will be eliminated. Similarly, for CD it will be again x cube upon 3, as u is x square, and so the limit will be y equal to 2 and x equal to 2 up to x equal to 1, and again I will eliminate the y term, plus finally here it will be again minus xy square, and the limit is x equal to 1 comma y equal to 2 up to y equal to 1, and I will again eliminate the x limit as it is with respect to y. So on solving this one, putting the values of the particular limits, it will be 2.33, this one will be minus 6, and this one will be minus 2.33, and this one will be plus 3. And on solving this one, gamma will come out to be minus 3 units. So now verify whether it is a valid potential function or not, and it is given as phi is equal to 2x plus 5y. So we have to prove that it is a valid potential function or not. So del phi upon del x is equal to 2, and del phi upon del y is equal to 5. So again, del square phi upon del x square is equal to 0, and del square phi upon del y square is equal to 0. and you know the Laplace equation is del square phi upon del x square plus del square phi upon del y square should be equal to 0, because this is our Laplace equation and thus this is also equal to 0, and therefore it is a valid potential function. Now guys, I am adding another question. Suppose this is the part A and part B is asked to find the velocity. So for the particular potential function, if we are asked to find the velocity, u is equal to minus d phi by dx, and that is equal to minus 2, and v is equal to minus del phi upon del y, that is equal to minus 5. So velocity field will be minus 2i minus 5j, and therefore the magnitude of the velocity field will be given by square root of minus 2 square plus minus 5 square, and that is root under 29 units. For a flow, velocity given 3xi minus 3yj, find the equation of streamline passing through 1, 1. So here u is 3x and v is minus 3y. So velocity the streamline function is given as v is equal to del xi upon del x and u is equal to minus del xi upon del y. So 3x you can write it like this, that del xi is equal to v del x and also del xi is equal to minus u dy. So from these two we can say that v dx is equal to minus u dy, and v upon dy is, or you can write dx upon u is equal to minus dy upon v, or you can say del y upon v. So it's like del x upon 3x is equal to minus del y upon 3y, as u and v are 3x and minus 3y, so it will be plus 3y as this is minus, and upon integration on these two we will get 1 by 3 ln x is equal to minus 1 by 3 ln y plus 1 by 3 ln c is suppose the constant. So ln xy is equal to ln c, or xy is equal to c. So for streamline passing at 1, 1 and c is equal to 1, the equation xy stands out to be equal to 1. So a stream function is given by xi equal to 2x square y plus x plus 1 y square. Then the flow rate across A and B is, so we know that xi A minus xi B is the flow rate. So xi is at 3, 1 because A is at 3, 1, that is equal to xi A basically, and it is equal to at 3, 1 it will be putting 3 and 1 in place of x and y, we will get 22 units, and xi at 0,2 and which is xi b, that is putting 0 and 2 in place of x and y, we will get 4 units. So therefore xi a minus xi b will be equal to 22 minus 4, which is equal to 18 units. So therefore the flow rate across AB is 18 units. So this was all about fluid kinematics, and this was the part 2 of the video. For part 1, the link is given in the description. Also the notes, you can find the link in the description. Please post any kinds of doubts in the comment section. Like, share to this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you.